Thanks for what you do with your podcast and all the rest. You're doing a great job. Hope everybody keeps tuning in. You get a lot of good info, a lot of insights, understandings of how to get strong, how to stay strong, how to use your strength.
You do a great job, dude. You make things better than they are in real life, I think.
If you don't follow Massenomics, y'all do it. Social media, website, everything.
Massenomics.
Recorded live in western northeast South Dakota. This is the Massenomics podcast. We're here for episode 251. We are the lifting podcast about nothing. My name is Tanner.
And my name is Tommy.
Tommy, 251. We got a lot of stuff. I don't even know how we're going to get through everything today. We got a sack segment. We've got a what's in the can. We've got interesting powerlifting gossip news. We've got
podcast news.
Oh, yeah, like crazy western northeast South Dakota podcast news. We've got a cool guest lined up. I don't know how we're going to do it all, but we're going to try. Yeah, it's crazy. But before we can do any of that, most importantly, we have today's sponsors. Today's show is brought to you by Lifting Large. Lifting Large has set a new standard for customer service within the strength world. They have live website chat support and speedy email responses. Lifting Large is home of the ground lock deadlift slipper, of course, and they are always in stock and ready to ship. Massenomics listeners can save 20% on all Lifting Large branded products by using our discount code, and that code is MASS20 at checkout. Today's episode is also brought to you by SPUD Inc. The goal of SPUD Inc. Straps is to make products that support sports performance and help everyone achieve their training goals. They make products that last forever, won't bust your budget, and most importantly, leave no doubt about success when everything is on the line. Check them out online at spud-inc-straps.com. This episode is also brought to you by Hybrid Performance Method, your one-stop shop for all things fitness and online coaching. Whether your goals are training-related, nutrition and body composition-related, or both, Hybrid has a program for you. With dedicated and experienced coaches in each strength and fitness discipline, you can rest assured that you're in the best hands possible. Use our discount code MASS, M-A-S-S, in all caps for 5% off any training or nutrition membership for the life of your membership. Visit hybridperformancemethod.com. And this episode is brought to you by Texas Power Bars. In 1980, Buddy Cap set out on his own to make what he believed was the greatest bar he had ever seen and trained with, and the Texas Power Bar was born. It was strong as a house with the best knurling, and it was maintenance-free. Hundreds of state, national, international, world, and Massenomics powerlifting records have been and continue to be set and broken on the Texas Power Bar. To learn more, visit them at texaspowerbars.com. That's our sponsor list, ever prestigious list, of course, the Fearsome Foursome. Where do we even start today, Tommy?
I was going to ask you the exact same question, Tanner. I was going to say, where do we start today?
Well, I suppose we have to start at the beginning.
That's not a bad spot to start.
I would say we could start quick on, we are very hot and heavy on the road to 300.
Yes.
The 300 podcast reviews is going to be coming. It could literally almost happen any day now because we are now at the 290 barrier. So we're closing in on the final 10.
Damn.
And if it's anything like the road to 200, the final 10
just
goes
happens
very
overnight.
fast. You know, everyone wants to be the 300th, but there's also a lag in like when people leave the review, there's a multiple day lag of like,
and
when
also
it shows
like
up.
if it's going to ever exist in iTunes or in Apple Music.
So if I would say by the time you're hearing this, if you want to have a chance at being the 300th review, you pretty much have to leave your review now because that's like,
yeah,
by the time
you're hearing this, it is now is the time.
Right.
Wow.
So when we gotta plan out big things.
We gotta really start going on our plan. I mean, we kind of have some wheels in
plans
motion
for big things.
Yeah.
And they're gonna be big,
but just it's gonna go fast. So we do have to.
Right.
We'll have to kick that into high gear.
We will have to kick that into high gear coming up.
Wow.
So that was maybe the most important thing to start with.
Yeah, that's probably the most important thing. We could probably just be done now. Actually.
Oh, that was it. The other sponsors.
Well, next on the list, Tanner. Maybe we should crack into a cold one first because we got a lot of talking to do.
So we'll actually do this. This is much like last week. So next stop on our world tour, if you remember all the way back to last week, where did we go, Tommy? We visited
our neighbors to the north,
the Canadians. This week we're jumping across the pond to Scotland.
Wow!
On our international sack / what's in the can tour. We're now taking our next pit stop at Scotland.
I like that. We've got international.
As a teaser, next week on the world tour, we're making a stop at Alabama.
Ooh,
we're coming back.
Our friends in the South.
Yeah, we're making a stop at Alabama. So, boy, these sacks and cans have just been coming in hot and heavy.
As it should be, right?
Right. So first, our stop at Scotland for our what's in the sack and what's in the can segment.
Do I need to close my eyes for anything here?
Not yet, because we'll do the sack first.
Okay. So Tanner's reaching into his sack.
Maybe you want to read.
Note.
Yeah, maybe you want to read this first as I get a couple things out.
Okay. Greeting. This is the note that was in the sack. It says, "Greetings from Northeast, not Southwest Scotland. I was going to handwrite this little note, but my writing is pretty terrible. I wasn't sure you'd actually be able to read it. Probably good thing because I can't read Scottish handwriting, Tanner.
That's true.
There's a language barrier.
We don't
there.
get taught that here.
I hope you like your T-shirts. I thought they were pretty fitting to showcase what is the true and real Aberdeen location." That's debatable, right?
Definitely debatable.
I have also added 2 drinks for each of you that would work well for the what's in the can. I'd like to see you both figure out what flavor they are. These are Scotland's national drink, and you're not really Scottish if you don't like them. Lastly, I've added in 2 boxes of traditional sweets here in Scotland. They beat any pre-workout hands down. Let me know what you think. Levi and Claire, I'm excited for this segment, Tanner. Wow. Here we go. Okay. God, there's a lot of goodies here.
Yeah.
So
that's Levi and Claire on the picture. Levi's they're customers of Massenomics. They're fans of Massenomics. He has gotten Massenomics gear shipped over there, and he said, "Well, you need, like you said there, you need some stuff from the real Aberdeen," as he would put it.
yeah, that's awesome. So yeah, we got.
So what's the name of their company then? It says it on there.
Smash and Pass.
Okay, Smash and Pass. So I know you can find them on Instagram, Smash and Pass Gymwear, or you can, I'm sure, just Google them. And I went to their website the other day.
Smash.and.pass.
Okay. They sent us a few stickers along with it. Now, this shirt is sweet. I like this shirt that they sent us. It is a heathered blue tee, and it says Scottish Strength. And it's pretty gangster. I do like this one.
Wow.
We get a lot of shirts sent to us. Since we've started the podcast, we have gotten a lot of shirts sent to us. And, I always keep some for my personal collection, and then I let some other Massenomics faithful.
One of the perks of being a gym member, you can get a lot of free goodies because we get a lot of goodies.
And like the thing is, if I'm not going to be able to wear it all that often, I'm like, I'll give it to someone else in the gym, and then they're wearing it in the gym crowd at least. So it's getting way more exposure and like getting way more use by doing that. But this is definitely one that I'm going to keep in the old personal closet.
It's got such a cool story behind it.
It does have such. It's like the coasters from Canada. It's like yes, this from Aberdeen, Scotland, the Scottish Strength shirt. Yeah. So that is super cool.
Yeah, I'm pumped on these.
Comfortable T-shirt there. I can tell already. And then some of the stickers. That same Scottish Strength logo, and then their Smash and Pass Gymwear. I like the old anvil and hammer.
Yeah, the hammer and anvil. Classic.
So then, what do we go to next?
You're the tour guide.
Okay,
here, Tanner.
we have 2 different things here, and you know as much as I do about this.
Okay, yeah, go ahead, keep going.
I have mine are called Tasty Tablet from Scotland. Tasty Tablet, and what did he call it in the letter? He called it like Scottish brownies.
He said, so we have Scotland's national drink, and then we have 2 boxes of traditional sweets here in Scotland. They beat any pre-workout hands down. So just traditional treats. We don't know what they are. Just traditional treats. And you have the Highland, what's it say? Highland Croft Tasty Tablet.
Yeah.
And I have the Mrs. Tilly's Scottish Fudge. Both of these look pretty awesome.
Are we going to try both of these? Or?
I think we got to do both, right?
So yeah,
but we got to do it at the same time, Tanner. Just like what's in the can.
Right.
Yeah, this is just. I'm excited for this.
So this one is light brown. It almost looks like caramel flavored. I have no idea.
What's tablet, Tanner?
I have no idea.
Is.
I'll take a smaller one just because I don't know what I'm getting into. These aren't going to make me fail my drug test or anything, are they?
It's an odd texture. It's kind of almost chalky.
It is.
But it's kind of like fudge.
Yeah, it's
Let me
it tastes
let me
like-
see that box.
It tastes like a kind of like a chewy caramel. To me, is the flavor of that one.
It's okay right here on the box. It's the finest ingredients and the melt in the mouth sensation that makes them say, just like Mithers. Whatever that means, Tanner.
Is it like Mother's?
I don't know.
Just like Mithers. I bet. Maybe that's
okay,
what you
yeah.
call mom. Yeah. It is tasty. That was good.
Oh.
That's why they call it a tasty tablet.
Okay. Lives
So
up to its
that's that.
It's not just a clever name, Tanner.
No.
Okay. Now we're going to hop into Mrs. Tilly's original Scottish fudge. Wow. This is our first trial at just having a podcast where all we do is eat the entire time and open packaging and everyone just has to listen to it.
Well, so far, so I like it. I don't know how everyone else is liking it, but I'm
Okay,
enjoying
Tanner.
it.
Here we go. Get your fudge.
Okay, so this is what now? Scottish fudge. Very similar then.
Yeah, they're similar, but I could definitely eat both those bags. That does
Yeah,
it
that's
for me.
good. That one is better. To me.
I feel like that one's a little more Americanized in its
Yeah,
flavor.
yeah. Yeah. That one is good.
Both are very good though. Both are very good. I would totally eat all of them.
So then we get to the meat and potatoes, as you'd say, the what's in the can segment.
Oh.
Interesting thing. You see how yours is ripped open like that?
Yeah.
It came like that. Do you know why I think it came like that?
Customs had to check
I
it.
think Customs opened it up.
Customs put drugs in it, and this will make
They
you fail a
laced it
drug
for
test.
us, yes. But I do think Customs actually opened
Probably
up
had to take
check
a
out the
little
can,
look-see.
but they only opened one of them.
They wanted to get a head start on the what's in the can.
they're
There's
like-
some Massenomics listeners in the customs
they're
department.
we are joke's on you. We already know
Okay,
what's in the
so
can.
I haven't looked at the flavor, Tanner. I just saw that this was a can. I don't know.
I
what
haven't looked
flavor
at it
is.
either.
Okay.
And I almost have mine unwrapped here. You had the Customs did the hard part for you.
Yep. Okay. Hopefully I didn't shake it up too much.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. There is a flavor there.
Mine tastes like bubble gum.
Yes. Okay. Yeah, I was gonna say cotton candy right away, but yeah, I think bubble gum
I
is
can
the
tell the can is orange, so I was like I could see the orange color out of my eye. So I was gonna say orange, but then I'm like, oh, it tastes like bubble gum.
Yeah, that's what I would say. I would agree
All
with
right,
you on
let's
that.
check it out.
Iron Brew, original and best, brewed in Scotland. What the hell are we drinking here? Sparkling flavored
yeah.
soft drink with sugar and sweeteners. So we got some sugar. Already the nutrition labels are not American, Tanner, so it's throwing me way off.
Right. Energy. They list calories in energy.
Okay. 16 grams of sugar. What is the flavor on
Yeah,
this?
why
It
doesn't
has
it
to have
say
a
the
flavor, right?
flavor?
Or is this just
it
Iron
just-
Brew is the flavor?
Yeah. I don't know. It does not say. But it's definitely bubble gum.
That's what I would call that.
It tastes good.
I like the design of the can.
Yeah.
Like it's cool branding. And it does taste good.
IRNBRU.
It does
Yes,
taste good.
Does taste very good. It must not have very much sugar in it, though.
What did it say? 16 grams? I mean,
Oh, does it?
I mean, it's not Mountain Dew level.
Right, right. Very good.
Wow.
So that was our Scotland tour for the week.
that was.
Quite the stop off.
We got to get some of our other international listeners to step their game up here.
Right. So what were their first names again now? I remember as him on Instagram, but I...
So on this, well, yeah, I'm getting too overwhelmed into the. It's Levi and Claire.
Okay,
I'm
Levi
getting too
and Claire,
wrapped up in
yeah.
all the food here. So yeah, if
Thank you, Levi and Claire.
yeah, thank you, Levi and Claire, and go check out Smash and Pass.
Yeah, next time Levi and Claire, you're in western northeast South Dakota.
Checking out the original Aberdeen.
Yep. Yeah, the one that did it first. Just make sure to stop and
Aberdeen,
pay us a
Scotland
visit.
gets its name from a community in South Dakota named Aberdeen.
Made famous
Fun
by the
fact.
Massenomics podcast.
Yeah. So you brought up an interesting thing there, Tanner, called the Massenomics podcast of Aberdeen, of Western Northeast South Dakota.
Yes.
A community in that area called Aberdeen.
Yes.
A fairly well-known podcast from that region is the Massenomics podcast, which you happen to be listening to right now.
Yeah.
And there's a funny thing that happened this past.
Controversial, I would even say.
To some, not at all.
Yeah.
But, so this does take a little bit of a backstory here.
Yeah.
So Aberdeen, South Dakota has a would you say, is it bi-monthly, every 2 months, bi-monthly?
That could be right. Yeah.
Yeah, bi-monthly.
Yeah.
Every 2 months for the past, it's probably existed for 2 or 3 years now. There's a magazine called Aberdeen Magazine, and it covers all things Aberdeen and in the close, 20-mile area or so.
Right.
Mostly Aberdeen, though.
Yeah, right.
And they usually cover something historical, something fashion, food and beverage related, event related, and whatever's going on.
Yeah.
And it's I always, they're free. You pick them up there in places all around town, and you see them come out. You just grab one, take it.
Yeah.
You don't got to pay for it. And I always find them entertaining. I always grab it. I like to read it. In some issues, there's articles that I feel like don't really relate to me, or I don't have a whole lot of interest in. In that case, I flip past most of them. But then there's other issues where almost the whole thing is interesting to me, and I'll read almost the entire thing. From a design standpoint, I'm a designer, but from a design standpoint, I think their design and art direction is as good as any small community magazine you'll probably find in the country.
Right.
I think it's better than even probably a lot of large communities have for magazines. I think it's a well put together publication. And so this past weekend, I was out and about in the town on Saturday afternoon, and I saw a stack sitting there, and I said, "Oh, you know what? That's a new cover. I don't have that one." And so I picked it up. I hopped into my wife's car. She was driving, and I open it up, and there's the table of contents there, and I see something about podcasting, and for a second, my brain went, did Tanner not tell me about something? Am I going to get really surprised here? Did Tanner,
it was something I was holding out completely.
Did Tanner pull a quick one on me? And this is going to be something we're going to talk about in the podcast. Because all I see is an article, something saying, I just basically see the words of Aberdeen, podcasting hotspot, something along those lines.
And could you even put Aberdeen and podcasting together in your mind and not just think the Massenomics podcast?
No, I can't.
No,
I mean, I'm obviously biased, but I can't.
Right.
There's not a lot of podcasts, I would think, in the state of South Dakota that have 250 episodes, let alone 100, probably even.
Do you think there's any that have 250?
Unless someone does a daily news podcast or something. But
right.
I don't think there's a lot of people that have been at it for 5 years.
No.
Probably not, or at least been consistent with it. But anyways, so I'm like, all right, Tanner, that stinker, he's gonna surprise me here. And I open it up, and right away I see one for it. I think it's been around 2 months or so. We were aware of it. It's it covers local small businesses kind of.
Yeah.
And then it's okay, well, that's not Massenomics. Go to page 2, or they go to the next page, and it was one for some coaches' wives.
Yeah.
So I've never heard of that one. I wasn't familiar with it.
It had a handful of 10 episodes, or
a few episodes. Yeah. And then there was another one.
There was one on soccer.
Well, actually, there was another one of the basketball coach in our town. I should say the college basketball coach. We have a fairly successful college basketball program here.
Yeah.
And so his wife has one, and I knew she did something, she has written a book, or, I kind of was aware of what she had done.
Yeah.
And so she had a podcast. I guess I didn't know that, but I'm okay, it makes sense based off of a little bit that I know about her. And then there was one about talking about soccer or something.
And it had 2 episodes.
Right. So then I'm like, all right, flip the page, and the article is done. I went, what? What?
Yeah.
So right away I'm like, whoa. And I went back and okay, I missed something here. Nope. This seems like we're missing. And I'm telling my wife, I'm like, no way. They totally missed this. So I'm like, I got to call Tanner right now.
Yeah.
So I call you, and I'm like, dude, I'm laughing out loud. You would not believe this. And you were kind of doing the whole, what's going on? What's going on?
Yeah.
And I basically explained the same situation that I just said. And so it felt so basically the takeaway was biggest, what would you say? Biggest
travesty, injustice
in Western Northeast South Dakota podcasting history, perhaps.
Yes.
So Yeah, we got snubbed on the list.
We did, and it doesn't matter.
No, it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter because nobody that reads the magazine is going to be a listener.
That is
of the
funny
podcast.
thing,
Yeah,
and that is the funny thing about Massenomics is
Yeah.
like out of all of those podcasts, Massenomics can never and will never be successful if it depended on local business. I mean, if Massenomics depended on the local community, it would have died a month after it started.
Yes.
Like there's not enough people here. Every person in this town that's interested in getting strong, staying strong, and using your strength, Tanner,
knows
they
full
go
and well about Massenomics. They go to Massenomics.
They go to the Massenomics gym.
Yeah.
And that's about 50 people.
Yeah,
Outside of that, we are in a niche spot.
Yeah.
Outside of that, they don't exist in our community or
No.
for the most part, even really our state.
Right.
And so that's why Massenomics as a business just doesn't work at a local level.
No, and someone was asking me about the article, and they're asking if I was upset, and I said, well, in actuality, as far as the way it could benefit Massenomics, the best thing they could have done is not included us. So we had a funny Instagram post to share that people could laugh about and play into our jokes about Western Northeast South Dakota. And I'm like, that actually provided more value to us than.
I mean, it probably did. And we're not we're not bitter about this.
No,
it's just
no.
funny that we have a podcast where we talk
Yeah.
about random stuff every single week and we weren't on the list. And like I told Tanner, I'm like, this would be like if you went to someone's house and they said, we're making tacos. And you got there and you ate the tacos and they didn't have meat in the tacos. And you'd be like, well, I guess these are tacos, but it feels like an ingredient's missing.
Yeah,
That's
yes,
kind of what it felt
yes.
like. That maybe there's an ingredient missing.
Not only a ingredient, but the key ingredient. And that's true in the sense of the podcast in Western Northeast South Dakota. The 4 that were in there, if you add up, I take this from me because I know I did it.
Did the research.
You add up all the episodes of all of the other 4, we have about twice as many as those ones all combined. If you add up all the reviews of all the other 4, we have about twice as many of those combined. I can make some inferences about downloads that we have many more downloads than all of the
besides
other 4.
Besides the one, the lady that has been at it for a while.
That's the only one that actually had.
Yeah,
that was the only. That's the one of the 4 that's carrying any of the statistics.
All the other podcasts have basically only existed since like November,
Right.
October. Like,
Right.
and we're not shitting on those podcasts or anything. There's nothing wrong with that, but it is just funny, like how we weren't on the thing, and we did have a good laugh about it.
Not only that, even funnier, we had a billboard up in this town for 6 months about our podcast.
Yeah, we did.
Just this last year.
Yeah.
Like a ridiculous billboard that I know all of those people saw and commented on, whether it was positive or negative or like, why do they have that? But I just know that they knew it existed. And it's also worth saying our town is 25,000 or so population. Like everyone's aware. Like you didn't not drive down that street in 6 months if you live here.
I guess you could have missed it.
But I know that those people, I know that those people know about it already.
Yeah.
I kind of already know that.
So the whole situation is really funny.
Yeah.
We're not mad about it. It is more of one of like, they left us off their list. It makes zero difference in the world of Massenomics. It probably just goes to show again, like how most people don't get at our local level. Most people don't get Massenomics, and a lot of them never will. Like a lot of people don't understand that this is a legit, actual, real business. That I mean, our podcast alone is monetized. Our podcast.
That's
is
the
a
other
business.
thing. That's the other thing that's important to mention. We're the only one that's monetized of all of them, and that means something because we actually did the thing, and we also get to make money doing the thing.
That means that people in this industry do think that we bring enough value that it's worth paying us to talk about stuff. But even within the industry, our peers and other companies think that we are providing value at large.
But I do think that's part of the problem is they literally don't understand not the lifting side of it, but the us making money online by doing this weird thing that they don't get. Like that goes over. I mean, that's not just exclusive to our community. You could almost take a segment of any community that's maybe over your average person over a certain age, and you try to explain what we're
even just the fact that it's a metric that doesn't mean a whole lot, but just the fact that Massenomics has 30-some thousand followers on Instagram, most people just sort of like, well, that was something happened that like you didn't actually just get those organically. Like,
Right.
Like those were bought or someone did something for you. It's like, no, like you can actually influence that part if you put in a shit ton of work making content every single day, twice a day for years on end. Like, there's not a lot that's up to chance in this equation here.
No, and the other thing is, if you remember back to the first 100 or so episodes of Massenomics, we also had a third host, Tyler Effenston E.
Yeah.
And he also lives back in Aberdeen.
Not only did he quit the Massenomics podcast, he quit it to go run another podcast across the globe. He went to Amsterdam to do another podcast where he did the entire time he was away from us, he was
still
also recording. So
yeah.
Not only have Tanner, you and I done 250 episodes, Tyler has probably done at least 250 episodes of podcast production on his own too.
Right.
And he was not,
and he also lives in Aberdeen.
Yeah. He now lives in Aberdeen,
and he does like, I know he's like working on doing like some consulting for podcasts and other stuff like
on top
that.
Of
like
having 2 shows that he runs himself. Right
yes.
now.
2 other shows, all this stuff, very involved in podcasting, like extremely involved in podcasting, and lives here in Aberdeen, and also was not the part.
Also got snubbed from the list.
And anyone that used to listen to the show back when Tyler, this would be one of those days where it'd be fun to see him because he would not be as
if you wouldn't get a signature Tyler rant out of this, you wouldn't get one out of anything.
He would not be near as polite as we are.
Yeah, he would not be laughing as much as we are.
No, there'd be a lot more F-bombs.
Yes. So then, Massenomics and its whole thing of we have a good time with everything. We're not gonna just call people out like they didn't do anything inherently wrong or illegal or anything. And it's at the end of the day not going to change anything we do. But it is kind of funny. Like the situation is funny. You can't admit that the situation is not funny here.
Right.
Like if someone can't see that, then they're a little too dense about the whole thing. But so we had to make a little post about it on Instagram. And the funniest part is the people start piling on the inside jokes and tagging,
going to their page,
tagging them. And then I didn't know that part was going on. And then once I saw it, reading the jokes and reading the comments, no one was like, "Hey, you guys suck." There was none of that.
Great. It was very good fun and in the spirit of Massenomics.
It's like they were baking a 7-layer Massenomics cake and dropping it off for them.
And I just want to be a fly on the wall of when that magazine or whoever runs the account is reading those and they're like, what are they all talking about? Like, I can't imagine they feel attacked. They have to just feel like so confused. Because none of it was bad. It was like,
and there has to be a thought of like, should I feel insulted right now? Like, I'm not sure if this is.
I don't even know what are they talking about. JD Power and Associates awards. Like, I don't know what do they mean?
Talking about cool beans and things being overrated and underrated. Like, there's just so many like lifting things. It's.
So the only appropriate apology, though, we would accept at this point is the full center, like a full fold out picture, poster of like us sitting here like this, and you fold it out. It's the poster of us sitting here at the set.
I think that's the only way to rectify the situation.
Yeah, that's anything less, and I would not feel. I would continue to badmouth them.
Badmouth them in the manner we just did.
Yes.
So that was the hot podcast drama in Western Northeast South Dakota.
Yep, it's good stuff.
It was good stuff. It provides.
We have a good way of turning lemons into lemonade when it comes to that, though. Where I'm like, that's the best marketing that we have is weird bad things that people, like they didn't say anything bad about us, but like just things in that vein.
Yeah, just like like this didn't get taken seriously.
Yeah, right.
Okay, if people aren't going to take that seriously, we won't take it seriously either.
The more I drink this, the weirder it tastes.
I was going to say the same thing. I was just taking a drink. I'm like, I can't quite put my finger on what's going on with this thing. There's the profile. Again, we're talking about the iron brew. It's just such an odd beverage.
Yeah.
Is there caffeine in this?
I don't know. I hope not. It's like 9:30 at night.
Oh, I'm in for a really tough night if there is. It doesn't say that there is anywhere, so I'm going to assume that means that there's not.
We're probably going to have to be continued our powerlifting. What would you call that topic?
Yeah, we will put that. We're not going to tell people what it is because they're going to have to tune in next week.
That's the cliffhanger for episode 252.
Yeah, I kind of forgot about that.
Because we got a guest to get to still.
I mean, before that, we got ads to get to, Tanner. The reason we're all here, right?
Yes. Watch out for your Scottish fudge.
I am watching out for it. Okay. We're going to.
Don't fudge up your ads over there.
Woo. Okay. Lots of stuff here. We got too much stuff. Should we do this?
Let's do the thing.
Today's show is brought to you by Texas Power Bars. Buddy Capps first started lifting weights in the late 60s and began powerlifting in the mid 70s. At the time, he was working for Image Barbell building gym equipment. Around 1976, a local machine shop started making Olympic bars for them, calling it the Image Bar. In 1977, Image Barbell became Champion Barbell. It was then that Buddy started looking at the bars with an intent of changing them for the better. In 1979, Buddy bought his first lathe to begin addressing the known issues. In 1980, his passion, drive, and purpose now had a greater mission. Buddy set out on his own to make what he believed was the greatest bar he'd ever seen and trained with, and the Texas Power Bar was born. It was strong as a house with the best knurling and was maintenance-free. Hundreds of state, national, international, world, and Massenomics powerlifting records have been and continue to be set and broken on the Texas Power Bar. To learn more about Texas Power Bars and buy one of their legendary bars, visit texaspowerbars.com. This episode is also brought to you by Hybrid Performance Method. If you've been training without a coach and have been looking for a competitive edge, remember to check out hybridperformancemethod.com. Hybrid has 15 different strength and fitness programs covering everything from powerlifting and strongman to gymnastics and general fitness, all included in one training membership. Tanner, you'd think after reading these for so many weeks, I would be flawless, but still got to trip up once in a while.
If you don't preaching to the choir on that one.
That's not all. Hybrid also offers one-on-one personalized nutrition coaching that uses lifestyle habits and a flexible approach to shape your nutrition plan around your current lifestyle instead of turning your lifestyle upside down in order to support unsustainable habits that only work in the short run the way most programs do. If you're ready to take your training, nutrition, or both to the next level, use code MASS in all caps, that's MASS, for 5% off membership to all programs for the life of your membership. Today's show is brought to you by Lifting Large. Since 2004, Lifting Large has been providing lifters across the world with powerlifting gear from Titan Support Systems. Lifting Large has the largest in-stock supply on Titan wrist and knee wraps in the world. Lifting Large is home of the Ground Lock Deadlift Slipper, and they are always in stock and always ready to ship. They also have ER competition combo racks, and they are quickly gaining their reputation as being the Ground Lock Deadlift Slipper of combo racks.
Yes.
They are the only powerlifter supplier with live website chat support available during the weekdays, and you can get email replies to your questions in hours, not days, like some of the other guys. They are accepting Amazon Pay and Stripe for a quick and simple checkout, and once your checkout is complete, your order will ship fast with same-day shipping on most orders. Massenomics customers can use code MASS20, that's MASS20, to get 20% off Lifting Large branded products and also receive an additional 50 rewards points added to your Lifting Large account. Place your orders at liftinglarge.com, and you can follow them on Instagram at liftinglarge.com. That's at liftinglarge, DOTCOM. And last but not least, the Massenomics podcast is brought to you by our good friends at SPUD Inc. and the Master Blaster Ruck Pack Sled. This piece of equipment is going to be your new favorite enemy. A combination of cardio punishment and muscle endurance is what you have in store for you when using this ruck pack sled. Simply strap in the weight and put the pack on to do long ruck hikes, lunges, stairs, runs, etc. When you want a little different type of punishment, take the pack off and put a sled strap on the back and start your sled dragging just by flipping the harness around the plates. This will be one of the most versatile tools you have in your arsenal for building muscle, burning fat, and getting in great shape. Check out the Master Blaster Ruck Pack Sled online at spud-inc-straps.com. Thank you to our sponsors.
Now, our special guest for this week's episode is none other than Kalle Beck of Starting Strongman. Are we ready to give him a call, Tommy?
Oh, let's do it.
We're doing it. Too late now. We're doing it.
Hey, how's it going?
Hey, Kalle, you're live on the Massenomics podcast with Tanner and Tommy. We're excited to have you on.
What's up, Kalle?
It's exciting. I just cracked open a La Croix.
Ooh.
Ready to talk.
Okay, a man of culture.
Yeah, you're in the true spirit of the show then if you're drinking a sparkling fizzy bub over there.
Well, you guys are making me stay up past my bedtime, so I have to do something to keep it going.
May we ask what flavor you're indulging in tonight?
So disappointingly, it's lemon. I did not go to the store and pick this.
Lemon's a good
It's not
flavor.
the worst.
I think lemon is one of my more favorite ones.
It's not one of the fanciest, but it has a good
It's
taste.
just classic,
Yeah,
tried
yeah.
and true.
See, that's the problem is I consider myself a fancy man, and it's kind of vanilla, you know?
Yeah, it's no pamplemousse, that's for sure.
Right.
No.
Well,
But then again, what is?
we are sipping on a beverage from Scotland tonight. It was
Yeah.
imported just for the Massenomics podcast.
That sounds exciting.
It is. So you're in California, using however many directions of the compass you would like. Could you explain what part of California you live at?
Like right in the middle towards the coast.
Okay.
So like middle, northeast, southwest California.
Yeah, it's like, everyone, if they think about California, they're like San Francisco or LA. I'm right in between that.
Okay.
So if you went from one to the other, you'd drive past me, most likely. And it's a better part because it's neither one of those. It's not the place that everyone thinks about. So it's like, it's more normal.
That makes sense to me. But before we started this episode, we usually do a little bit of homework or a little bit of chatting about whoever we're going to talk to. And one of the things, our discussion points was, what is Starting Strongman? And we said, it's so many things. It's hard to say that it's one thing because it's the website,
Instagram,
YouTube, Facebook group, podcast, the what you do as far as coverage on the actual, professional strongman events. What the question being, how did it start and what do you consider Starting Strongman to be?
See, that's probably where I went wrong is it's so many things that I don't even know what it is, but, that's kind of how you have to do this world. If you want to make it some sort of job these days, is you have to do a little bit of everything and get like, $6 here or there, like, 100 something different places, which is basically what I do. But yeah, I made Starting Strongman in like, it's kind of hard to say where it started, if it was like the end of 2013 or 2014. I launched the website in 2014 and I was just looking, there's just such a lack of information on the sport of strongman back then. And I just went around and there was a little bit of, I competed as a lightweight athlete back then. And, strongman was very obscure back in 2014, let alone if you were competing as someone under, 200 pounds, even more obscure. And I was like, well, if I could get, a little bit on a selfish note, I was trying to get sponsors and I hated my job and wanted to do anything other than that. So, and have no skills. So I was like, all right, if I can get more people to, care about this sport that I love and care about, maybe I can, get more attention that people care about what I'm doing. And I can actually, just do more of this. So it support me so I could do more strongman and be more involved in it. Little did I know that I got so busy with this that I pretty much stopped competing at the same time. And that's also due to, 10 years of competing in strongman before there was as much good information, and really did a nice toll on my body. But yeah, I just wanted to make a resource to make strongman more accessible and, inclusive to all types of people. There's still so many falsehoods of like what strongman training is, or like how the people train, or like what's involved in it that I, try to dispel every day. And I feel like I've been saying the same thing for, the past 6 to 8 years now. It's kind of wearing on me, to be honest, but I just wanted to make a resource that just kind of showed everyone how to do it. Like one of the first things I did is I made a map with all the different gyms that had equipment everywhere. And that's, it was really hard to find before that. It's still hard to find. And just other basic, super basic, like if someone wants to get in the sport, like back then, how would you tell them to do it? They're like, you got to go find this guy in your town who knows that guy.
Right.
So I just try to connect all the dots a little bit. And from there was just, then like worlds would happen, and, there's always been some random spreadsheet that like the 24 people that are in the know about that shared it around, but it's like, no one's putting that on a website that someone could Google and find or something. So I just started, doing that back then, and doing a little bit more coverage of what the pros were doing, contest results. Cause you like literally couldn't find them back then. And, there's now, as soon as something ends, it's, a dozen websites say who won what. But, in 2014 till about 18, name who was covering strongman at all.
Right. Yeah.
It was pretty much me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe like
that
a couple other places.
Yeah.
So when you were first starting out, like, and you start doing this stuff, with anything that you do new, there's always that thing of like, you're putting in effort, and sometimes it feels like, is anyone responding to this, or people engaging? Like, did you see a response right away, or did you have to put in some decent time before it felt like it got any momentum?
So I had some momentum going in just from my own, being loud and spending too much time on the internet, and my own athletic accomplishments. So I was sponsored by, Juggernaut Training Systems at the time, which gave me some amount of, gave me a good amount of, clout, and people knew who I was from keeping my, training log and blog on JTS, and I'll always be thankful to Mr. Blue Eyes, Chad Wesley Smith, for that. It was, that definitely helped a lot of stuff. And I had good guidance from people like him that had, launched, businesses, and just networking, going to shows and talking to him and others. I think very early on, I think Greg Knuckles was involved with, JTS doing some stuff, and I just sent some emails back and forth, and he said, like, this is how I'd approach it. So, I was very lucky that, I had a lot of, good connections I had made from competing, and, just really wanted to make this my living and to help other people and make the sport more accessible and more people to enjoy it the way I did. But yeah, like, and there's the good thing is, cause I made the Facebook group at the same time, cause I was always a big fan of, message boards. Pretty much I was like on Chevy truck message boards when I was like 13 in like 1999.
Yeah.
So like moderating them.
And that's like a crazy thing. It's like message boards they've kind of like all consolidated to like Facebook and Reddit. It feels like message boards feel like they're just a dying thing of the internet now.
Yeah, it's crazy because like I'll go to Google something and you'll find like a how-to and it's still on there from like 2013.
Yeah.
And it's better information than you're going to find in any Facebook group.
Yeah.
Because people had more time back then, but there's been no new posts on that. There's been like 3 posts in the last month on that board. But
that is funny though. I still to this day will Google things and I'll come up to message boards like that, and it'll be like, oh, this is exactly what I need, and it's like, no, nobody ever answered him. It's like, that's the same question I had
from 2007. It's like, come on, someone had done
bump.
Yeah. Or sometimes you'll see where something was like 10 years old and someone then 2 years ago answered it or said like, did you ever figure this out?
Yeah.
I'm like, he probably doesn't even have that vehicle anymore, dude. But I knew those were dying, and there was, like Maroon Day Muscle was the big message board by, the late great Jesse Maroon Day ran, and that kind of just, you could see it fizzling off. Like I used to post there all the time, and I saw Facebook groups. This was 2013, so kind of early in Facebook groups. And I was like, well, you need if what I'm trying to do, making the place where people go to talk about it is going to be super helpful, and a good position to be in as well. So I just made the Facebook group. I think it was probably like the 5th or 6th different Facebook group I've made, though. I just finally found like a good way to like, express a good name and a good way to express what I was trying to accomplish. and it just caught on. I think there's like 1,000 members within, I think I invited 40, 50 people that I knew probably. And then from there, made sure to not. I didn't want to spam it like that and let it grow organically. And I think there's 1,000 members within like the first 2 weeks or so. So it grew pretty quick. And with that, the thing I found is people, if they're also passionate, they want to help you, especially they know you're not making any money on anything. Mm-hmm. When everything's new, it's exciting. So I got a lot of help from, forum members. Like, it's like, oh, I'm sure you guys have a similar story. It's like, hey, people like, you should have shirts. I'm like, I should. I don't know how to do that or design anything. And people like, I know how. Or like, someone's like, oh, what if, you did this on the website? I'm like, I don't know how to do that. And someone's like, I will. I'm like, you're awesome. There's a ton of people. Mainly big one was, Dan Davis was a strongman competitor, helped me out a ton over the years, just with technical background stuff. And, as I learned, but, I had some, just from messing around, some experience with, just basic, website, and I can figure things out. But yeah, there's, I still feel today, like, I think probably more than ever, I'm like, is this even accomplishing anything? I think I feel more like that now than I did back then, because it's all fun.
Right.
Like if you do something and it doesn't work, but it's cool. But then now if I trying to cover something, I'm like, okay, that took me an hour and a half of my time to do, and it got this many views or likes or whatever. I'm like, I could have just not done it, and pretty much nothing different would have happened in my life or business.
Know the feeling there.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. And also now, Starting Strongman, it's considered established, and I'm like one of like the old guard now, which is the weirdest thing in the world to me. I still feel like, that, young person who's like fighting for acceptance is like a thing in the sport.
Yep.
So it's just that you're not as likely to get people like, I'm sure a lot of people know about me or Starting Strongman, but then they just like, oh yeah, he's still doing that. That's great. I love it. But it's like, when's the last time you went to the website or, did it in any way? I think it's kind of, once you're established, it's kind of hard to be new and exciting. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that makes sense. I think that makes a lot of sense. I did just go to the website today though. So
that's terrible, isn't it?
No, it's good. I actually went to the Gym Finder again because I think you had some, if I remember right, there's a few years back, because I had Massenomics Gym in there at one point in time, but I think you changed the website or something. I mean, you remember what happened. There was something different.
Yeah, I was back before there was all this talk about Russians. I was hacked by Russians and lost literally everything. In 2016 or 17, I think. And honestly, that really curtailed, just made it, I don't want to make this too depressing, but like every blog and everything you've ever wrote and every article, and like some are backed up and like on Google Drive and stuff, but just manually inputting all that stuff and having it, and like I can't even think about, I know rebuilding it, I spent about $10,000 just, and then like with added security measures to try to make sure that never happened again, and getting it backed up in different places. Cause like I said, like you talked about earlier, that's a good example of like going into roadblocks and like not knowing what you're doing. Cause you're just kind of, I didn't have like a super set goal. It was just kind of like, oh, I think I need to do this now. I think I need to do that. Where, people that actually like went to school for this stuff have like business plans and like hire people and get like funding to build things. And, I'm just sitting on my kitchen table, figuring it out. Cause, I'd like to pay some of the bills when my wife was working, and I wasn't making any money back then. It started all. So,
what?
But yeah, that really, just kind of put a damper on everything. And it's like, then there's like I'll had so many articles that were like super high up in Google SEO results, and now they just go to nowhere.
Yeah,
Even if I relist them, it's like impossible.
Yeah, that's probably the biggest
impossible
thing is getting, it's one thing getting the article and okay, you get it back online. It takes some time. It's annoying, but yeah, once it's like kind of off of Google, it's really hard to crawl back to where you were, if not impossible.
Yeah. And like those things still pop up as dead links at the top of Google, and like so you have to make sure it's formatted the same way. And it's just, it's just a little daunting. And I've had some people help with putting that stuff, but yeah, basically when you talk about like what Starting Strongman is, I've thought about it a lot this past year. I think a lot of people have kind of done a lot of, hopefully when, it's a weird year and things aren't normal, you kind of go like, well, what am I doing? What should I be doing? You have kind of think about how you want to do stuff going forward. You're not, and what I want to do with Starting Strongman is get back more to, here's the basic resources on how to get into the sport, how to thrive in the sport, how to advance, and general training, and just have that more of like, just rebuild that database. Maybe a little less of like, is Thor gonna knock out Eddie Hall?
Yeah, right.
Because like that stuff's just like I'll put out a video like that, and it's I've gained like a lot of a lot is relative, but YouTube subscribers covering that kind of content because it's hot. Like it's crazy how strongman's taken over YouTube.
Yeah,
in the fitness industry where it was like nothing for years, and now I think some of the biggest channels on YouTube are strongman channels and people talking about it. So like, it's easy, but like 3 days later, no one cares what you said about that.
Right.
It's kind of irrelevant. So I just, I want to get the, gym database set up, like we talk about. I want it so it's basically like one of those dead forums that no one visits, where it's like, if you have any question that you put in Google about the sport or anything, I want it to pop up and answer it. I know people still won't use it, but for the people that do, I want that there. So, that's my goal for this year, is to just really go back to the root of why I made it in the first place, was just to put out the basic information. If you look at CrossFit.com back in the day, it was pretty simple. Like they had an exercise library. Here's all the movements. They had like, here's a list of gyms. Here's like upcoming, they used to have upcoming throwdowns. And like, if you wanted to get into CrossFit, you could figure it out by going to CrossFit.com, right? Very easily. And then strongman, people like, how do you get into strongman? People like, talk to Bill.
Yeah. You
and
see
he
that
knows
guy
Jeff.
in the gym, that dirty big guy, that lifts the weird stuff. You got to talk to him.
Yeah, we work out behind his house on every other Thursday.
It's really true though, and it's funny. It's true. It was essentially true nationwide. It's just the same thing everywhere, all over the place.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, if you knew, you knew.
Yeah.
And if you didn't, you didn't. And we've seen how much this sport has exploded just by, strongman just being seen on social media or whatever. Just in general. In the past, and there's a lot of factors that have went into that. The couple, documentaries that go on Netflix, and just some, people actually utilizing social media better as the top athletes, and probably some of the stuff I did and other people did too. I mean, it's just taken off, and I always thought it would. Like I remember, I started competing in 2007 or 2008. And like back then I'm like, how does no one else do this? And I'd talk to people that were stronger than me. They would probably be better at it than me, and I'd be like, you should try that. They're like, oh, it looks like so much fun. And they're like, well, how do you do it? And I'm like, okay, I drive 2 hours, go train with my buddy Evan in the redwood trees in the Santa Cruz Mountains on Saturdays, but we can't always make it. And we have to I bring half the stuff. He brings half the stuff. There's a lockbox that has some stuff in it. Sometimes the guy who owns the land's gate's shut, and then we just go to the gym and do it in the parking lot and haul all the plates down, 2 stories of stairs. Then I'm back up, and people and they'd be like, I would do it, but that's too much.
Yeah,
I have a kid
yeah,
and a job, and I didn't back then. So that's how I would spend, any free time I had. And, I just wanted it more. I loved it. And there's something, nostalgic. You look back fondly on that and you're like, it's the walking up both ways kind of in the snow kind of deal. But, now it's like, I remember I brought like an old beat up log to a local contest here because the promoter's like, hey, if you're going to come judge at this event, do you have an extra log? I'm like, I do. And I brought it and none of the competitors would use it. They refused because it was like, they're like, I'm going to get tetanus with that thing. I'm like, what are you talking? That's the best log. I love that log. You go to a contest and people aren't going to use an implement because they didn't think it was like, new enough. I'm like, it would have worked perfectly fine. It was better than the one they used. It just didn't have shiny purple paint on it. Mm-hmm. It's just an old beat up pit bull log that Robert Oberst dropped with 450 pounds with steel plates on it a couple times, but
we should ask you, Kale, some of those vanity strong, that thing you said you don't want to do so much anymore. We better ask you a few of those questions though too, just
of course,
because you are kind of, the resident, people are curious what your opinion is on when it comes to everything strongman. So number one, I'm thinking who is the best strongman of all time, the best professional strongman of all time, in your opinion?
I have to say Zydrunas Savickas. And that's just because he did it, for 2 decades. He's still like, if he competes again this year, he posted on Instagram the other day that it's his 3rd decade competing in strongman.
Yeah, it's nuts.
In strongman,
he's like, 2021, 30th year competing in the sport of strongman.
It's so ridiculous.
And I'm like, what? Like, I'm 35 and I did it for about 10 years. And like, I don't feel like I can. I'm like, people ask me if I want to straight bar deadlift. I'm like, nope, earn my right to not. Like, I don't want to do that anymore. My back hurts all the time just from doing silly stuff. I don't know how, like, obviously I don't think I have the genetics or anything compared to him. Yeah. And there's the Bill Kazmaiers and, I think Mariusz Pudzianowski gets way too, like, people don't respect his accomplishments enough at all. Mm-hmm. Where I'd say I'd probably put him number 2, honestly. Just because he was the dominator. You talk to any American athlete that competed with him back then, and they'll almost all agree that he's the greatest of all time because they competed against him. And there was years where he did like 54 shows and won 52 of them or something.
That's insane.
And people are like, oh, well, he was only fast. I'm like, oh, so he was so fast he could win 30 plus shows in a year. You don't do that by not being strong.
Right.
And obviously he was training for how the sport was at the day.
Right.
He's still it's different and then it started to get heavier. And then like his last 2 years competing, he just somehow put on like 30 pounds of muscle where it didn't look like he could pack a single, ounce on that frame. And he's like, I'm even bigger. You're like, how's that possible? And he would. So I think, and he didn't do as well at the Arnold, but people are like, oh, he didn't do good at the Arnold. I'm like, he got like 4th and 5th, and the Arnold wasn't a big deal back then. It wasn't the same as it is now.
Yeah.
The coolest thing is they gave you a Hummer. I think Zydrunas has 8 of them.
It's a really practical car in Europe.
In Lithuania. Yeah.
Yeah. I asked him that when I interviewed him a couple of years ago, and he says, no, I sold.
Yeah, not a bad idea. Who had the better strongman career, Eddie Hall or Half Thor?
I think Eddie Hall did more with what he accomplished, turning it into money, like as far as accomplishments, than any other strongman ever. Right? Half Thor is the more accomplished athlete. It's not even a question.
Yeah.
Eddie Hall, super strong, really, really good strongman. has a great drive, but has one international competition win
Yeah,
at like a major
that
show.
is crazy. Yeah.
Right.
One.
Right.
He's won like Britain's a bunch of times. I think, he won like the UK title with a bunch of times, but like, he did well at Worlds, but he's smart. He understood the shows that are actually going to get you attention, sponsors, and dollars, and didn't bother doing the others.
Yeah, he's
like,
just
he went to the Arnold twice.
Yeah, he's just so good. Like when you think back on it, it's like when that puts it into perspective, but like in your head, he's like so good at like marketing and branding himself. You just think like he is strong. Like he was strongman from what, 2014 to 2018. Like, wow. Yeah. That is crazy to think about.
Yeah. His 2017 World's Strongest Man win is, I believe, his only international title.
Yeah.
Where, Thor's won, Europe's and the Arnold, 3 years in a row, and, bunches of, he competed a lot more, but Eddie was smart. Like, he pulled a heavy deadlift that no one thought he would do. I believed like the day before, I was like, shit, he's going to do it. Up until that point, I never thought he would, until I wrote an article for I think Flow Elite back then when they were a thing on it. And I was like, he's going to do it. and he did it. And, I get, over the years, people have called me an Eddie hater, and that's not true at all. I just have my opinion on how things are. And if you lay out the facts, he has one international win. He has, a bunch of world records. But I think he's smart. I think, I love what he's done, because strongman has chewed up and spit out so many talented athletes that don't have a dime to show for it, despite, putting just as much effort, or, at least very close to people like Eddie. I think it's great that someone, makes some money off the sport and does it, and hopefully shows some other people. The problem is, it's like kind of how he shows to do it is like, pick your shows, do world records, always say you're the best. It kind of like, it changes the sport, and it gets kind of into like why we now see a max deadlift at every single major strongman competition for the past 4 years. And it's like, so, or, this is strongman where it's supposed to be, varied in all kinds of different things. And now we just have a standard height deadlift everywhere, because more people pay attention if you do it. So it's kind of like, it's good for the sport and bad for the sport at the same time.
Yeah, that makes sense. If there was one thing you could change about the World's Strongest Man competition, what would you change?
Everyone would want to say that you want it to be live. I actually don't care. I used to care, and I think, there's some aspect of having it live, but we have plenty of live strongman shows. If there's one that's still on TV, being on TV matters, right? Mm-hmm. Like, that's how people that aren't into the sport will still find the sport. You kind of have to care a little bit to find it on social media and stuff, but being on stuff like Netflix and regular television is what draws, and like the History Channel is what draws new people to the sport. I would like there to go back to being more competitors, and probably just no groups. Mm-hmm. And like, I kind of go back and forth on that. I was very firm up until this past year on the no groups, and I kind of get the point for them. It kind of got some highlight, but I think if you just had like 30, 40 guys competing, kind of like how CrossFit does it, like, everyone qualifies for the games, and then 40 people do, and they're only really going to show, whoever did the best in each event in the top 10. So I heard, Colin Bryce on Lawrence Shawley's podcast, they argued back and forth about the group thing a bit. And he was saying like, well, because there's groups, you were able to get more TV time and become a star, to Laws a little bit. And that's true. But like, Laws would have been a star if there was a 50-man group, if there's 50 people and he killed all of them at the yoke walk, even if he placed poorly in everything else. You're still going to get the same amount of airtime, I think. So I think I think, I wish there was more events. Again, there used to be more events. Then they went to 5 last year, and then now 6. I think there should be at least 8, but I think 12, like basically if there's 6 in the qualifiers and then 6 in the finals, if they just did 12 events with, 30 to 50 people.
Yep.
I think you'd have a better, more well-rounded who's the world's strongest man. It'd be harder to question. You couldn't have a weakness, and you couldn't get as lucky with, oh, this person got the right set of events, which matters way more than people would think. And it really frustrates casual fans, I think, how the event selection can make, a completely different person win or get 6th maybe. It's so competitive now.
Yeah, that idea too of having everyone compete across all the events, it could really change the way the scoring shakes out too. If you've got 30, you're going from 30 points to 1. In one event, it's really a different dynamic.
Yeah, and just like the ability of guys to like just not take it easy on events.
No, you can't screw off on one event. Then in that case, like you basically have to go at all of them. I think, right?
That's what it would seem like.
You do, and a good example of that is, all the amateur nationals here, in North America. Like I used to compete. I think I did the Arnold, and I was a lot better at a local show where there's like, maybe 2-3 guys you kind of have to worry about. And then there'd be someone who like, if there's 5 of you and I wasn't as fast at yoke, but I'm like, I don't really care if that one guy beats me in yoke and I just lose 2 points if I'm going to crush everyone else, if I'm going to win the other stuff. But then you go to nationals and you get crushed by 15 people in the yoke. Doesn't matter if I won the car deadlift, right? Like
a weak
I
event,
lost 15 points.
A weak event is way more hamstrings you much more so in that scenario.
Yeah, the more competitors, it's just going to have a better, more well-rounded athlete winning. Basically, Kilishkowski would probably win every contest.
Yeah, right, right.
Yeah.
Other than he might get 3 points in a deadlift and someone gets 30. I don't know.
Yeah.
But the other 7 events,
every other event.
Right. Yeah. No, that makes a lot of sense. Tommy, do you think we should play overrated, underrated?
I think we should play.
Kale, I don't know how familiar you are with it. It's a little game we like to play with everyone that we have on. We call it overrated, underrated, and we've got a series of special Kalle Beck topics hand-picked for you today, and we'll give you each topic, and you have your druthers as to how you want to decide, but the catch is you can't ride the line in between. You do have to say overrated or underrated for each one.
Sure. I have opinions. I can play games.
All right, great. Okay. So, topic number 1, overrated or underrated? Manual transmissions.
Oh, it's completely underrated. Anyone who says it's overrated, I don't even want to know them. And that's for obvious reasons. Like you're scared. You're scared of things you don't know. That's how I felt the first time I drove a manual transmission. I'm now manual transmission vehicle-less, and it kind of, even though I got cool stuff coming, just bought a new truck that doesn't have one, but I think the other stuff makes up for it and makes me a little sad.
Can you actually still get a truck with a manual transmission?
Like a new,
is
out
that
of the
possible?
factory?
Only 2.
What are they?
The Toyota Tacoma and the Jeep Gladiator. The only 2 trucks. The Frontier, they axed it this year. I think Toyota will probably always keep it just because. And same thing with Jeep. You can't,
It's kind of part of who they are.
Yeah, and I think the Bronco, you're going to be able to get one. That kind of counts.
Yeah, right.
But you can't get the bigger engine with the Gladiator or the Bronco. You got to get like the base engine with it, which is lame. But
yeah.
I don't have new truck money anyway, so I get sad about that. But I'm like, I buy 20, like I'm now buying like early 2000s trucks or what I buy because old 60s trucks are overpriced now.
Too now.
And I'm like,
right.
And I'm like, ooh, I'm into new trucks now. They're built in 2002.
Yes, yeah, I get that. my take on manual transmissions is I really enjoy them. I don't know that I want my daily driving vehicle to be one, just because it is more like there's more to it. And but I do like certain vehicles you have because they're fun to drive. Like you drive them because you want to drive them and it's fun. And like then there's nothing better than that. Like then you want that full experience at that point then.
So like stuff like the brand new Corvette not coming with one just makes me like, I'm like, I hate everyone even more. Like I remember being a kid and like, ooh, the brand new Corvette. And you know, the other thing I've noticed about Corvettes is like, I remember they don't age well, other than if it's like a 67. If you go look at like a 2003 Corvette and you look in the interior, and I'm like, that's the most terrible interior I've ever seen.
The interior on, I could be wrong here, but to me, like the interior on a 2003 Corvette is like the same interior as a 2003 Monte Carlo. Like,
or like a Cavalier. They had like the same and a lot of the buttons. And that's why you're able to get the performance for, you know, way less than people like, oh, it handles way better than a Porsche. I'm like, you ever see someone who buys a Porsche and goes back to a Corvette? No, never, not once. That's what, like, you know, poor people like me say, because they want to justify by the car they can't afford instead of the car they really can't afford.
So manual transmissions, though, definitely underrated.
Underrated. Yeah. And it's a shame. You know what the good thing about manual transmissions is? They make cars that would be terrible enjoyable, like a V. Like I had, you know, just a plain work truck with underpowered V6 F-150, and it was slow and it had no amenities, but you had to shift it, and it was kind of fun.
I think there's something to that. Okay, overrated or underrated strongman records?
Oh, they're completely overrated, and I'll say that with. You know, I was probably one of I kept records of them. But they're overrated because in a sense that records in sports are supposed to be a byproduct of someone going above and beyond in competition, right? Like if Usain Bolt's going to set a world record at the Olympics, he did that in the Olympics because he had to beat everyone else, right? Like, but the point of like, we're going to have this whole contest to set a record and try to force it, which is going to overshadow the full contest. And it makes the importance of one lift more important than the other 5. So like, you know, like when Eddie Hall broke the deadlift record, do you remember who won Europe's Strongest Man after that? It was the same contest.
Definitely not.
Might as well have shut it down right there.
But you know, it's kind of like it. I guess it happened. I think baseball is the closest where it's like if someone sets a record in baseball, people care more. Like then they could lose the game and no one's gonna talk about anything other than Barry Bonds breaking the home run record or something.
Right.
But. Yeah, I think it's like the best and worst thing to happen to the sport of strongman in, you know, the past decade probably. It's hard to talk, but overall I'd say overrated because the other thing is they'll get broken.
Yep. True. Okay, overrated or underrated Facebook groups?
Oh, completely overrated. They're the worst thing in the world. And I was in a Super Bowl commercial promoting them. But, I mean, I could sound old, but like forums were a better thing. So like you could go on like an old message board and you went there just to like talk about old trucks or strongman or whatever it is. And very rarely would then you like have to deal with someone's political opinions or know who their sister was or get distracted and like right next to it is like, you know, someone messaging you on Messenger. I just think like more separate things. I think Reddit's a much better platform overall, just only to the reason that you can downvote replies and topics. Cause I go through the Starting Strongman Facebook group every day wishing I could downvote things people say or post. Like this shouldn't be shown at the top. It should be a user decided what's important and not Facebook's freaking algorithm that's showing me the same thing over and over again. But you know, they're good. They're good, but it's definitely overrated.
Well, the Super Bowl is right around the corner again, and if Zuckerberg hears any of what you just said there, I can't imagine you're going to be on another commercial this year.
Oh, I argued with the producers so much at the thing about things I was upset about. They'd never use me again for anything anyways. I was yelling at these people and I said how they did it. And then I realized it was like so I did two separate ones, and one was like some sort of indie group and they were cool and stuff. And one was, I guess, the same people that did the Air Jordan campaign and came up with it. And I told them how they're terrible and like everything. I'm like, oh, they've done like every iconic commercial of my lifetime. But they were not nice, and they treated me like garbage. Like,
yeah.
So I didn't care, you know, but you know, it was good. At least I got paid a little bit of cash.
Well, and you got to be in a Super Bowl, like, I mean, for the rest of your life.
Kind of.
Yeah, I was in a Super Bowl commercial.
Yeah, it was awesome. And no, I was appreciating like, and I had a lot of conversation with people within Facebook about that, and they were so nice. Like all these people at work, and I was actually set to do some sort of program with them, which would have really helped Starting Strongman going forward. But then like the world kind of went to shit.
Yes.
And I think they're like, I think we're going to get behind more important causes than someone who tells people how to do strongman. You know?
I don't think there's anything more important than that.
Wait, there is more important causes?
I mean, I you know, if this was any other year, I would agree with you, but
right.
Apparently Facebook doesn't when there's, you know, civil unrest and pandemics. And
Yeah, that makes sense too. Okay.
I totally get it. On a personal level, it sucks because it would have been really good for my business, but I'm lucky enough, like, you know, I was able to be have you know, my business name blasted on the freaking Super Bowl, and it was all over the front page of YouTube forever, and I got paid for it. Like it was millions of dollars worth of advertising.
Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah,
pretty cool.
That's a win-win-win.
Sure.
All right. Last one. This is the most important topic. It is worth everything. It all comes down to this one: overrated or underrated. And you are heavily judged on your, I guess I don't know if we specified this, but you are heavily judged on how you perform on overrated, underrated. So this is kind of what it comes down to. Overrated or underrated, kale, the vegetable.
Oh, it's so overrated. It's terrible. I like, you know, like you go through that phase, you know, maybe not so much now, but like when you're starting out, you like read like the bodybuilding magazines or Men's Health and all that stuff. And it's like, you know, if you really want to get lean and look how you want, instead of spinach, eat kale because it has 10 more grams of vitamin K. You go through that. Like I ate so, like I did all that stuff like when I was like 18, you know, and it makes no difference. It tastes bad.
Yeah.
So like
that superfood
other
just isn't out
vegetables.
there,
Yeah.
No, superfoods.
I'm not shredded because I'm eating white rice instead of brown rice.
Right.
That's my problem.
Oh, that's the worst one. I think back of all the brown rice I ate instead of white rice, and like how much of an epiphany it was when I could eat nice jasmine rice instead 6 times a day, which was still stupid, but I did. That is when I got shredded. You know, when I just ate like the same thing every day for a year and was a psychopath. That's when I'm like, I see those memories pop up, and I'm like, oh, cool. I looked good once. But you know what's the best thing about if you ever get like somewhat lean and jacked is it gives you like 5 years of people perceiving you like that. I'm like,
you just keep those pictures around for a long time.
Oh, I'm still selling stuff off of pictures from 2012.
Yeah.
I think my perceived jackness ended 2 years ago. I wrote it that long.
It finally.
It's been depressing ever since.
Yeah.
They're like, no, he's not jacked at all. And like, hell no, he used to. Maybe, I think.
Yeah, it's got like a 5-year shelf life on it.
It does.
You just have like some pictures in like a really old message board, so people can just keep finding them forever. You know,
it pops up if you Google my name in CrossFit, and I look pretty jacked.
Okay, well, I think you passed overrated, underrated. Good news. So you did pass. You did well, and that kind of is most of what we're going to talk to you about today. We would say again, it's startingstrength.com, and I guess we didn't mention you offer coaching through there too, don't you, for strongman athletes?
Yes, but I'm not Mark Rippetoe.
Starting Strongman.
Oh crap! Sorry about that. I normally never make that mistake. I only make it when we're recording a podcast for thousands of people to listen to. Starting Strongman. Sorry, we've had Rip on before too, and at times I wondered if I was actually accidentally gonna say Starting Strongman to him.
Now that would be a good troll.
Yeah. Do you think Rip is well aware of Starting Strongman?
I don't think he's aware of anything he doesn't want to be.
That is correct.
Which is most things.
Yeah.
I think he's still living. He still manages a message board. So there we go.
That is true. That is very true. How often have you heard someone made that mistake that I just did there?
Oh, all the time.
Yeah.
But it's fine. I think it's like just now, like on hashtags on Instagram, like almost catching up to Starting Strongman, just because an earlier adopter of technology and social media, I guess.
Yeah.
But I figured if Mark Rippetoe could get a following from having a catchy name like that, then I probably could with Strongman.
Yeah, for sure. But no, so I was going to pitch the website and the coaching and everything. So can people sign up for coaching right now if they want to? How does that go? Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah. Just at startingstrongman.com, there's all kinds of information on Strongman in the Facebook group as well. And, I do online coaching and have ebooks. I wrote a book like how to train Strongman in a regular gym, because that was the most frequent question I got asked is like, how do you train for this if you don't have equipment? And it's kind of silly because basically what I'm breaking down is like what gym lifts transfer over to what events. Because I still think like most people that have every implement in the world would do well from reading that book, just because I feel like they just still don't understand, RDLs and front squats are going to help your Atlas stones and stuff. Just, looking at the basic mechanics of each lift and how it transfers. It's all pretty simple sport and all. And my YouTube channel is just Kalle Beck, my name, Kale with 2 L's. I'll be putting some more stuff up on there, talking about boxing, because that's 2021. Strongman's all going to be about boxing.
Yep.
But yeah, no, I've been looking forward to coming on for a while. It's just I go to sleep very early because I don't sleep because I have a very demanding toddler.
We just had to wait for you to move to the Pacific time zone, so that way.
Exactly. That's why. Yeah. That's why I moved back, because then it's like almost doable.
Yep. No, we've been excited to have you on, and we've followed along with Starting Strongman for a long time, and we've certainly taken cues from you, and we've gotten a lot of stuff that we talk about on this show has come from things that we've learned through things that you put out in the sport of strongman. So it's been a big help for everything that we do.
No, I appreciate that, and that's exactly why I do what I do, so more people can learn about the sport and everything that's involved with it and spread it to more people. And thank you for talking about strongman, and I know how much of a beast it is to keep a podcast going, so I admire your drive to keep talking into microphones and editing it and uploading it all the time. It's a hard thing to do.
Yes. Yeah. That is correct.
That's why I don't do it anymore. I want to. I love to.
Yeah.
It's probably my favorite medium, is podcast, but man, it's tough. It's a grind.
It is a grind.
Yeah. All right, Kale. Well, we thank you again. We will catch up with you again soon too.
Sounds good. Cheers with your fancy Scottish drinks and lemon LaCroix, and I'll hopefully talk to you again soon.
Yep. Cheers to you.
Thanks a lot, Kale.
All right. Have a good night.
Well, Tanner.
Cool beans. Cool beans.
There it is.
He gets the double cool beans.
The double cool beans.
You know it's cool beans when you get the double cool beans.
Yep.
Oh, no, that's cool. Kale's certainly an expert in. We talk about strongman a lot. Obviously, on the show, we talk about the two primary strength sports we talk about are powerlifting and strongman. Mm-hmm. But we're not necessarily experts on any of it. We just enjoy it and we soak it all up and talk about it. But that's someone that actually is deep enough and involved enough in that particular sport where he is an expert on it. So it's a little bit different.
Has a lot of actual experience.
Right, for sure. No, that was cool beans. He's someone we talked about on getting on the show for a while too, and finally got the chance to.
Yeah, a long time actually.
Yeah, actually, we talked about it first probably last year ago for the Super Bowl when it's like, he was just on a Super Bowl ad. We should really get him on to talk about that. That's pretty crazy.
Oh, I remember mentioning something possibly about him with the podcast. I mean, so far back when we were recording at Tyler's house. Remember, within the first 50 episodes, but then it's like, well, how we don't even know how we would do that. You know, that was a different world. Yeah.
No, that's cool beans. What else do we got today, Tommy? We should read a couple reviews quick, just because I have some sitting on my phone, and we're never going to catch up on reading the reviews. I've been trying for. And
I just remembered there was something as soon as you hit the call button. I have something else I just remembered. Let's Get Stupid podcast. They had a lot of. They had
Tom and Tom.
I had to laugh. Tom and Tom. First, they couldn't quite know what we did. They thought one of us was a banker and one of us hunts buffalo was what they were coming up with.
Right. And
banker's
I am a banker.
Tanner.
I have been a banker at times. I just work for a
banker.
different company, not at a bank. Now I do similar things. But yes, I have been a banker. And
I don't hunt buffalo though, Tanner.
No, neither of us do that. And what else? They were talking about. They were looking at your Instagram while they were on the show, and
I also don't do a good job on keeping up on my Instagram.
No,
anyone that follows me can see you only got to go back about 3 rows to be back a full year.
They're like, "What does he do?" Oh, he does Massenomics, and he's got a wife.
I think they seem surprised. They did seem kind of surprised that we have actual full-time jobs though.
Yeah, we do have full-time jobs. That is, they were not aware of that, or at least Tom Callis wasn't aware of that.
Yeah, I couldn't remember who said what there, but
it's only fair for us to bring up the Let's Get Stupid podcast because they usually bring up the Massenomics podcast.
Tom, what do you do? That's our competition. Tom, what are you doing talking to those guys?
That's right. We shouldn't be giving them free ad time, especially after Huck Finn went and stole our silicone cup idea.
Yep.
We originally brought that to market.
They did mention the Dakota cut too.
Yeah, the Dakota cut. Still waiting on that, but I like the idea. What if we actually did offer that just as a pure joke? Do you think anyone would buy it?
Maybe. Someone would.
For an upsell.
Not sure how many. Somebody would though.
Okay, so a few reviews because we are never going to catch up with the reviews. I'll just tell you that now.
Yeah.
It's been struggling since the road to 200.
Yeah.
And I've never caught up, and now there's been a pretty good influx, and we're never going to catch up, but we'll keep trying. This one's titled, Mike Judge Does It Again, from the president of Western Colorado.
Ooh.
If it's stimulating conversation you want, you won't be disappointed. These guys have the answers to all the questions nobody else bothers to ask. They get right down to the nitty-gritty. What is in the can? How can I get strong, stay strong, and use my strength? When did Buddy Caps begin powerlifting? I'll admit I haven't been a fan for long until I recently discovered that the hosts are from the western side of northeast South Dakota. And well, coming from the western side of an area myself, that kind of thing really appealed to me. Massenomics. Coming from the western side of an area myself. This one is from Keiju Productions, the coolest podcast in the state. Is it simply a podcast that you seek, or is it an experience? Episodes full of insight on how to get strong, stay strong, and use your strength. I know that I've found my favorite show out of the Dakotas. Time to take my sparkling water out of the oven and crack a hot one with the boys. Hard to believe we didn't make it in that magazine if it's with all these praises. This one's from Ryan No Shorts Johnson. Still can't afford the shorts. Well, in these trying times, not much is certain. However, Tanner and Tommy are the one constant that I look forward to in the week. I never knew Western, Northeast, South Dakota existed before I started listening to them. Despite still not being able to afford a pair of lift shorts, the laughs are free. I can crack open a piping hot seltzer water and retch as I listen to nothing that will enrich my life.
That whole phrase just sounds so pleasant.
Yeah. The Ohio Lifters Union from the Sultan of, I'm going to assume it says Ohio. Before I listened to the podcast, I was a fool. I couldn't get strong. I drank sparkling water chilled, never froze my beans, and deadlifted conventionally. Now, thanks to melodious frequencies produced from the vocal cords of the South Dakotan dynamic duo, I've gained my strength. Furthermore, I have stayed strong, and now after years of searching, I finally have unlocked the key to staying strong. On behalf of LeBron James, the Cleveland Browns, Lake Erie, and the assassinated President James A. Garfield, I hereby knight both of you as Lords of Cayuga. Continue to feed the masses frigid beans and all the rest.
That's good. That's good.
All those reviews are so good.
They are, yeah.
It's just ridiculous, the things that, it's just like people commenting on the Aberdeen Magazine, the things that they're writing. Like, I just...
like, you don't have to be too far removed to think you're reading a foreign language.
Like, who are these people? And how are they all, like, they're all in on something that I do not get.
Yeah.
Today's show was brought to you by Lifting Large. Lifting Large has set a new standard for customer service within the strength world. They have live website chat support and speedy email responses. Lifting Large is home to the Ground Lock Deadlift Slipper, and they're always in stock and ready to ship. Massenomics listeners can save 20% on all Lifting Large branded products by using discount code MASS20 at checkout. Today's episode is also brought to you by SPUD Inc. The goal of SPUD Inc. straps is to make products that support sports performance and help everyone achieve their training goals. They make products that last forever, won't bust your budget, and most importantly, leave no doubt about success when everything is on the line. Make sure to check them out online at spud-inc-straps.com. And this episode is brought to you by Hybrid Performance Method. They're your one-stop shop for all things fitness and online coaching. Whether your goals are training related, nutrition and body composition related, or both, Hybrid has a program for you. With dedicated and experienced coaches in each strength and fitness discipline, you can rest assured that you're in the best hands possible. Make sure to use our discount code there. It's MASS in all caps, MASS. That'll save you 5% off any training or nutrition memberships for the life of your membership at hybridperformancemethod.com. And last but of course not least, this episode is brought to you by Texas Power Bars. In 1980, Buddy Cap set out on his own to make what he believed was the greatest bar he'd ever seen and trained with, and the Texas Power Bar was born. It was strong as a house with the best knurling, and it was maintenance-free. Hundreds of state, national, international, world, and Massenomics powerlifting records have been and continue to be set and broken on the Texas Power Bar. To learn more about Texas Power Bars and buy one for yourself, visit texaspowerbars.com.
Wow, Tanner.
It's a lot of reading, Tommy.
That is a lot of reading.
Restocked items on our site. We just recently got the curl shirt restocked, the bench heavy shirt restocked, the deadlifter shirt restocked, the lift hard, live easy flag restocked.
Keep it going, Tanner. Keep it going.
The Don't Curl in Me flag is on the way as a restock.
All right, there we go.
That's kind of all. I have to stop there because I can't remember more.
All right, we'll save the rest for next week.
Yeah, so we do have a lot of restocked items. We're sitting pretty good on most things. So if you're after something, now's the time. Tommy's wearing the 8-bit powerlifting tee, of course, which always looks good. Buy yourself one of those. Buy yourself some of everything on the site. The shorts, I believe, are still all in stock right now, so you can get yourself a pair of the most expensive shorts in the world. And also make sure to sign up to become a Massenomics podcast supporting member on the website. That means a lot to us. We really like to see those come in. And it's like the gift that keeps on giving because we get to see it come back in every single month when it recurs. So please sign up to be that. If you're a loyal podcast listener and you've been wondering, how else can I support these guys? How else can I give them money outside of paying for their ridiculously overpriced clothing? You can become a supporting member.
And you can rest assured knowing that once you're signed up, there's no way to delete.
No,
we have that money literally for life.
It's like a gradual step up program. Like the levels just
it's
increase.
A progressive. Yeah. It's like a progressive tax standard. It increases
right. And it's like against your will. Even like it doesn't matter what you want. Like we just need to get you in the system. And then we'll start charging you more. Yep. We just need your credit card numbers, and then from there,
give us the number. We'll take care of it for you from there.
We'll do the heavy lifting. You just get us those numbers. Leave us a podcast review. We're on the road to 300. Tell someone about the podcast. Tell a friend. sign up for our newsletter on our website. Like us on Facebook. Like us on YouTube. Tommy, where do they find you at?
You can find me at Tomahawk_D.
You can follow me at Tanner_Baird, but make sure to follow Massenomics at Massenomics.
See ya.